Alright, buckle up, because Danielle Smith just dropped the political equivalent of put your money where your mouth is on Alberta separatists, and honestly, I'm here for it. The Premier just gave the independence crowd exactly what they've been screaming about for years, and now they're staring down the barrel of actually having to prove people care. Spoiler alert, this is about to get fascinating. So here's the tea. Alberta separatists have been loud, they've been proud, and they've been absolutely convinced that Albertans are ready to pack their bags and ghost Canada like it's a bad Tinder date. Smith just said fine, prove it. Get your signatures, put it on a ballot, and let's see if your social media echo chamber actually translates to real-world support. Democracy in action, folks, and it's spicier than a Calgary Stampede hot dog. Premier Smith announced that if separatists can collect 177,000 signatures, they can put their question directly to Albertans in a vote likely happening around September of next year. The question itself? Do you agree that Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province of Canada? No fluff, no fancy wording, just straight up are we in or are we out? It's like a relationship status update but for an entire province. Now let's be real for a second. This is a massive political chess move. Smith isn't some starry-eyed separatist dreamer, she's a pragmatic politician who just handed the independence movement enough rope to either climb to victory or, well, you know the rest of that saying. By green-lighting this referendum pathway, she's essentially calling their bluff while looking like the champion of democratic values. It's brilliant, it's bold, and it's absolutely going to cause chaos at family dinners across Alberta. The separatist crowd has been vocal for years, especially whenever Ottawa does literally anything they don't like. Carbon tax? Separation talk. Pipeline disputes? Separation talk. Federal equalization payments? You better believe that's separation talk. They've built this narrative that Alberta is being held hostage by Eastern Canada, bleeding tax dollars while getting nothing but grief in return. And look, there are legitimate grievances about regional representation and economic fairness that deserve serious discussion. But jumping from frustration to full independence is like being annoyed at your roommate so you burn down the entire apartment building. Here's where this gets interesting though. 177,000 signatures sounds like a lot, and it is, but Alberta has a population of over 4.5 million people. That's less than 4% of the population needed to trigger a referendum that could fundamentally reshape Canadian Confederation. Think about that. A relatively small group of motivated activists could force every Albertan to vote on tearing up over a century of shared history, economic integration, and national identity. That's either beautiful grassroots democracy or absolutely terrifying depending on your perspective, and honestly it's probably both. The separatists are confident they can hit that number. They've got organization, they've got passion, and they've got social media algorithms working overtime to make their movement look bigger than it might actually be. But collecting signatures from people who are already in your camp is the easy part. The hard part is convincing regular Albertans, the ones who aren't spending their evenings on separatist Facebook groups, that leaving Canada is actually a good idea. And that's where this whole thing could fall apart faster than a Flames playoff run. Let's talk practicalities because independence isn't just about feelings and flags. If Alberta actually voted to separate, they'd be looking at negotiating literally everything from scratch. Currency, border agreements, trade deals, Indigenous rights and treaty obligations, federal debt division, pension transfers, military assets, the list goes on. Oh, and by the way, Canada's constitution doesn't have a separation clause like other countries do. There's no roadmap, no legal framework, just a massive political and legal quagmire that would make Brexit look like a smoothly executed vacation plan. Then there's the Quebec factor. Remember when Quebec tried this twice and it didn't work? And they had language, culture, and distinct society arguments that resonated deeply with their population? Alberta's case is primarily economic frustration, which is valid but also way more vulnerable to changing circumstances. Oil prices go up, suddenly separation seems less urgent. A more Alberta-friendly government gets elected in Ottawa, and boom, the wind goes out of those sails real quick. Smith knows all of this. She's not naive. By allowing this process to move forward, she's essentially letting the separatist movement either prove it has real mainstream support or expose itself as a loud minority that dominates comment sections but can't actually mobilize regular voters. It's political judo, using your opponent's momentum against them. The September timeline is also strategic. That gives separatists months to collect signatures while also giving them enough time to potentially lose steam, face organizational challenges, or watch as political circumstances change. It's not next week, it's not next month, it's far enough away that a million things could shift the conversation. Smart timing from Smith, because it looks democratic while also betting on the difficulty of maintaining political momentum over an extended period. So what happens next? Well, the separatists need to actually do the work. They need to stand outside grocery stores, knock on doors, and convince everyday Albertans to sign their petition. They need to maintain enthusiasm and organization while facing inevitable pushback from federalists, business groups, and probably a fair chunk of their own neighbors. And they need to do all of this while the media scrutinizes every aspect of their campaign and their messaging. If they succeed in getting those signatures, Alberta faces a referendum that would be the most consequential political event in modern Canadian history. If they fail, the separatist movement takes a credibility hit that could sideline it for years. Either way, Danielle Smith just turned Alberta into the most interesting political story in Canada, and we're all going to be watching what happens next. This is democracy in its rawest form. No gatekeepers, no backroom deals, just people power and political will going head to head. The separatists wanted their shot, and Smith just gave it to them. Now we wait to see if their online confidence translates to real-world signatures, and whether Albertans actually want to blow up Confederation or if this is just really passionate venting that never quite reaches the breakup stage. Make sure you're subscribed to Canadian Insights because trust me, you don't want to miss how this unfolds. We'll be covering every twist, every signature milestone, and every dramatic development as Alberta decides whether separatists are a movement or just a moment. Hit that notification bell, drop your predictions in the comments, and let's watch this wild political experiment together. This is Canadian politics at its most unpredictable, and it's about to get very real.